What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a banger of a video, a true hoot and a holler. In today's video, I'm talking about the time that I almost got sent to rehab when I was younger, which I know a lot of you might be confused hearing that because a lot of you know that I already went to rehab, but this is a different time that we're going to talk about today. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. Drop a like if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We're very close to 1 million subscribers, which, like, I'm just going to be upfront. I've been so busy traveling and doing podcast stuff that I haven't even begun to think about what I'm going to do for 1 million subscribers. But I'm beyond excited for it. And thank you all for the love. It's insane that we're this close to it. And thanks for bringing us here. Also, I hope you guys had a great 4th of July. I was going to post yesterday, but I figured we were all outside getting drunk and throwing pop rocks at cars. So here we are on July 5th, making it happen because we're probably all hungover now. So hope you all enjoy this one. And without further ado, let's dive right into it. Now, you know, this one took place a long time ago. This might be one of the longest gaps we've ever had on this channel from when it actually happened to me telling the story. And the reason for that is that I realized the other day as I was kind of going through my old video catalog, because I'm preparing to post a lot of my stuff on Spotify, so I'm going back through and downloading all my stuff again. I realized that I talked about almost everything relating to my time actually in rehab, but I don't think I ever really touched on what led up to rehab and my efforts to avoid it before what actually ended up sending me to rehab when I was younger. So for a bit of context for those guys who are newer to the channel, maybe, when I was 17, I got sent to a residential rehab facility after I overdosed on fake acid and got sent to the hospital. Very long story. It's irrelevant in this video, and if you haven't heard about that yet, you should probably go watch that video. I have a whole series about it. It's like 9 videos long. Go enjoy that. But before I got sent to rehab, I was already in some legal trouble. You see, I was dealing with a court case for felony retail theft, and it ended up getting reduced to a misdemeanor, but that was at the end of the court case and the end of my probation. At the time, I was under the impression that I very well might be going to juvie because I already had a record. It wasn't like this was my first time ever getting arrested, and they don't like delinquent young boys like myself. So, you know, while I was going through this court case, my parents kept saying that they wanted to send me to rehab. My dad would threaten it all the time. My mom would throw it out in a less threatening manner pretty often. My parents were divorced, so, you know, I luckily got to kind of bounce between who wanted to send me to rehab less pretty often. But, you know, as things were heating up and it was getting closer and closer to my sentencing on my court date, my parents were really trying to get me to go to rehab because my attorney who I had representing me was telling my parents that I was going to go on probation. I was going to get drug tested. And everyone knew that I was not going to pass a drug test. Like, I knew I wasn't going to pass a drug test. My parents knew I wasn't going to pass a drug test. I'm pretty sure I remember literally telling my parents, like, yeah, I'm not going to piss clean, like, at any point. Like, I'm not even going to try. Like, I didn't give a fuck. I was a very different individual at this point in my life. I was just trying to get high. I didn't give a flying fuck about anything else. Send me to juvie. I didn't give a damn. I didn't care about it. I was really under the mindset of, like, it won't happen to me. I was very ignorant when I was younger. So, you know, as it got closer to my sentencing for that court date, it was like summertime of 2016, which is almost a decade ago. It's crazy for me to say that, you know, it makes me feel old as hell. But summer of 2016, I remember I was at my dad's house and my mom had told me right before I'd gone over to my dad's, I was having a conversation with my mom. And she let it, I don't know if she meant to tell me this. Maybe she did, you know, a little sneaky of her. But she told me that my dad was planning to send me to a wilderness facility. And she told me specifically that he was going to get me sent there in the middle of the night. For those guys who don't know anything about rehab, it's kind of insane what they can do with you if you're a minor. Your parents can effectively transfer custody over to a rehab facility, and they can just show up in the middle of the night and take your bitch ass if you don't want to comply. Like, you don't have a choice. As an adult, no matter who suggested or who prods you or who puts you in a situation, you have to consent to going to a drug rehab facility. Mental health and 5150s are different, but for drug rehab, you have to consent to that. As a minor, you don't. And I was 17. The time was running out for my parents to send me to rehab, and they'd been trying to make me get sober for years by a million different methods that we've talked about on this channel, and this was kind of their last-ditch effort to get me sober, effectively, which, if you guys have seen enough of my content, you should know it definitely did not work. But that's beyond the point. So My mom had told me that my dad was going to get me sent to a wilderness facility in the middle of the fucking night. My mom was pretty open about that stuff. Like deep down, I know she wanted me to go there as well, but she didn't want me to go that way. My mom also just kind of hated my dad, and my dad hates my mom. So they would always, if it earned brownie points with me, they would like spill the beans on each other all the time, even if it meant like long-term fucking up plans for me. They would just do that. So that worked in my favor in this particular evening. I went over to my dad's house. My parents had split custody. And I remember I had a Mazda at the time, this shitty little Mazda. It wasn't shitty, actually. It was a great car. I say it was shitty. It was not shitty at all. It was a Mazda 3. It was a great car. I don't know why I called it shitty. It was not shitty whatsoever. That just slipped out. But I had this little Mazda, and I drove over to my dad's house. And this car, I only had it for like a month. A little longer, like 2 months maybe at that point. And I gotten over to my dad's house, and shit was kind of awkward. There was this tension in the air. You see, my dad was the kind of guy where like you could sense his anger. The air got thicker. And whenever my dad got pissed off, he would always crash out. Like there was never a like, oh, he's just going to go do his own thing and like fizzle out. Like, no. You have to clear the vicinity. He's crashing out. You know, he's absolutely losing the marbles. So I got there and I just kind of sensed that. I knew my dad well enough. I was like, yo, he's pissed about some shit. He was never the kind of guy to come talk to you. Like, I would wake up the next day, the keys to my car are gone, the battery is taken out of my car, the TV is removed from my room along with the Xbox, the Wi-Fi has been disabled, and there's a note on the table downstairs that says if the entire house is not spotless, I'm going to a wilderness facility. Like, I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm really not. That was the kind of way that my dad handled that kind of stuff. So I had to take some preemptive measures. So I got over to my dad's crib, and I sensed it. I was like, damn, he's really going to send me, like, this could happen any minute. And I didn't know, I hadn't talked to him about it. I wasn't going to bring it up because I just knew he was never going to actually tell me the truth and be like, yeah, I'm going to send you to a facility tonight, because he knew I'd just fucking leave. So I had it in my head, I'm leaving tonight. I gotten over there, and I remember immediately I started packing up. I had this mini fridge in my room at my dad's house, and in the back of that fridge is where I would hide all my stuff, because for some reason my dad would dig through my room every fucking time I left. Every time I left, he would flip my room upside down. But the freezer in the back of my mini fridge never once crossed his cranium. This guy would take the mattress off my bed frame and flip that motherfucker over, okay? But the back of the freezer, he never even fathomed loot being in there, okay? Me, listen, I've played DayZ, okay? I've played Rust, okay? I've played these loot games. I know where to look, okay? I know where to stash my loot. I'm very familiar with that. So I reached in my fridge, where I always stash my stuff for the most part, grab my goodies out, which at the time, I was kind of consuming whatever I could get my hands on. This was like a really shitty point in my life, because this is right before I was going to drop out of high school. My relations with my parents were at rock bottom. I had been cut off from getting even $20 for the weekend from them for ages at this point. Like, they weren't the kind of parents who, you know, oh, we're going to give you money even though we know you're going out to get drugs. Like, no, once they figured out that I was actually just spending all the, you know, little $20 allowance money that they would give me on getting high, I was cut off. I did not receive any more money. So I was doing whatever I could get my hands on. And at that point, I had hydros, which I was never an opiate guy. I was never into that. But all I had was hydros and a bag of mid, because that was just the high school loadout back in the day. So I remember I grabbed that shit. I grabbed a couple changes of clothes. I grabbed all my little toiletries. I had this duffel bag that I would bring over between my parents' house, because my parents lived about 40 minutes-ish apart. My dad's custody, the way it was split, my dad had Tuesday nights and then every other weekend, which, you know, some of you guys in the comments might be like, wow, that's fucked for your dad. I wish he had more time. No, it's probably for the better, dude. I wish he had no time. But as my relationship with my parents worsened and my behavior got worse along with it, the walls of the custody agreement kind of disintegrated, and they would just kind of ping pong me between each other's houses whenever I caused too much trouble at one of them. So yeah, I got ping pong back to dad's house. I packed my shit realizing I gotta fucking go. And mom is not gonna let me come back to her house because she just sent me back to dad's house. And summer of 2016, I spent probably 90% of that summer living with my dad. My mom wanted nothing to do with me that fucking summer. I was a delinquent menace at that point. I was stealing everything to sell, not from my mom for the most part, but from my dad. My dad would tell her about it. My mom was terrified of me stealing her jewelry, so she was just not going for that shit. I'm out the function. So I pack my shit up. My dad goes to bed early as fuck. Listen, sneaking out of my dad's crib was free. All right. My mom's house, Splinter Cell mission. I had to really think. My dad's house, 100% free. When that motherfucker's out, he is out, dude. It doesn't matter what. You can jackhammer in the living room. It doesn't matter, dude. He's off 5 Zans in dreamland, dude. It does not matter at all what you do. So I just walk out the front door, dude. I don't sneak out whatsoever. I got my bag with me. I start my car, pull out of the driveway. I almost said drive through. Damn, that's some fat ass shit. And I'm out. I'm fucking out of here. I dip out. Now, I had no plan at this point because it is the middle of the fucking night. It was like 1 a.m. or midnight. It was late when I left. I remember so late that like most stores weren't open. All the fast food places were starting to close, you know. This is still pre-COVID though. So like some stuff was open. I ended up driving to Jewel Osco, and that wasn't like initially where I was planning to go. You know, initially I'd hit up a couple of my homies. I'd hit up, I don't remember off top who I hit up exactly. This is fucking 9 years ago, but we're going to ballpark it and say probably Cody, probably Michael, probably Kyle, and judging by the time of night, they were probably all on Xanax and not answering the phone. So I ended up at Jewel Osco, which is just the beloved local grocery store. And I remember I parked up on the side of Jewel, and it was the same location that I did all my tomfoolery at. I would steal from this fucking location at least once a week to get liquor and then go sell it for weed money or drink it and then smoke alongside that. But this night, I just pulled up in the side lot when the employees parked to get some sleep. And luckily, this store was still 24-hour back in these days. You know, now no stores are 24-hour. Shit's fucked up. But this store was still 24-hour in 2016. So I could just blend in with the rest of the cars in the parking lot. It wasn't like I was an odd one out. So I remember I park up my whip, throw that bitch in park. I laid my front seat back, and I tried like just sitting on the front seat, kind of chilling. I wasn't really tired. I kind of had some adrenaline going through me because, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking in my head, like, what the fuck am I even going to do? Like, my parents are trying to send me to rehab. I have court coming up. Like, these are the kind of things that I wouldn't think about until after I had already done something about it. Like, before leaving the crib and deciding to live in my car for X amount of days, I never once comprehended anything about my court date or, like, money or really anything else than just, like, yo, I'm not going to rehab. Now that I'm actually in the whip at the fucking store, I'm starting to think about this stuff. I'm like, damn, man, this isn't going to get me out of anything, but fuck it, time to get high. I busted out the hydros I had with me, and I don't remember how many I popped, but I do remember that I got pretty fucked up. I got very fucked up. And hydros are not super strong. You know, it's not like a blackout, like, oh, I'm nodding out kind of high, but it's a relief kind of high. And in this kind of moment, that's really just what I wanted. I just wanted that opiate relief, it's not quite the same as a Xan in the sense of melting all your problems away, but damn, does it fucking help. So I popped my hydros, however many I'd taken at the time. I couldn't fucking tell you at this point. And I remember I rolled up a blunt. I always had my swishers with me. I never went anywhere without my swishers in my mid. And I rolled up a blunt and I boxed my whip. And I'm sitting there off the hydros, boxing the whip, listening to music, just hanging out. And I start feeling real fucking nice. Really nice. And I feel this almost pent up beast inside me. I'm like, damn, I wish I was with the homies right now. Like, I want to get my mind off this shit. Like, I don't have anything to do except just sit here in my shitty fucking car and like listen to music. You know, that's pretty much it. I don't even think I had a charger for my phone in the car at this point. Like, there was a million issues that I had to deal with here, and I was lit. And I thought that was going to solve my issues, but it only exacerbated them. Is that the right word? I don't know, dude. Either way. So I decided that I needed to go to the store. I didn't have any fucking money to go to the store, but I decided that A, I needed drinks. I didn't bring a single bevy. And B, I at least needed a little bit of food. Because, I mean, what am I going to do when I wake up tomorrow? I had like, I don't know, probably $15 in my bank account, if I had to guess. I couldn't have been much more than that. These were still the days where I'd bring $5 out the crib and you could throw that in the tank and make it all the way around town. $5 is a fucking damn, man. Telling these old stories fucks me up, dude. I start remembering gas prices and shit. Makes me want to end it all. Holy. So I went up into Jewel, and it's late as fuck. The only people in there are hooligans like myself. pretty much exclusively past like 10 or 11 p.m., this location just turned into a degenerate, tweaker-filled 7-Eleven. It was no longer a grocery store. So I walked in, and surprisingly, the security is beefier at night here, okay? They'll actually have employees that are able to pay attention. Like, it's not literal security guards, but they would have employees that would be kind of like keeping an eye out, by the registers, which were up front by the doors. During the daytime, I would literally walk into this location with a cart and fill it up like I was shopping and then just walk out of the door. But I realized pretty quickly, I'm like, damn, the employee to customer ratio is not good for theft. I was a little worried. I was also dealing with an active court case right now where I was potentially going to get sent to juvie. So I'm thinking in the back of my head, I started getting kind of anxious as I walked in, which is unusual for me at this point because I remember like I was just never scared of stealing, like ever. But this was around like when I'd stopped. Like this was really one of my last times ever stealing. The last time I ever stole to like make money was that Walmart theft where I got arrested, what I was dealing with the court case for here. But this was one of the last times that I ever just stole in general. And I remember I was fucking nervous for like one of the first times ever. I was fucking nervous. I went in there and I hadn't grabbed anything. I was wandering around the store like, dude, what do I grab? Like, how do I get out of here with this? Like, I probably can't just grab a cart. Like, there's no one else in the store. Like, the cart's going to make a lot of noise if they hear a cart going out the door, like, they're probably going to notice me. What if they follow me out? Like, this is nighttime, dude. They could have that reckless ass employee who beats the fuck out of me. Like who knows, man? I don't know. So I was worried. And also at this store, I had homies who I'd gone in to steal with who they got caught. I had this friend named Adrian who got caught stealing a bucket of chicken. Bro, they snatched it. They grabbed him. Like, they followed him and grabbed him physically. Like, this was not like, like, don't follow. No, they didn't follow that policy in this bitch, dude. At this Jewel Osco, they're grabbing your little bitch ass, okay? And they're calling 12. Bare minimum, they're calling your parents, okay? Which is arguably worse. But I ended up grabbing some drinks. I think I grabbed like a little 6-pack of those Gatorades. And I was just carrying it with me. And I went over to the chips aisle, which is like one aisle over. And I remember grabbing a couple bags of chips. And once I have it in my hands, my policy was always just dip, just skedaddle. So that's exactly what I did. I had the chips in my hands. I had the fucking Gatorade. Just walked right out. Just sent it. I was going to grab some alcohol, but at this hour, the alcohol section is closed the fuck off. They are not letting you in that shit. It's not like caged in or anything, but they kind of have it barricaded. Like you would have to do a little fantangling to get back there. So I didn't bother. I just walked out. I had my hydros. I had my weed. I was good to fucking go. So I walk out, no problem. No one follows me. No one even glances at me. I go back to my whip. I don't even leave the fucking store. Like, I didn't even contemplate, hey, maybe I should move to a different lot. No, this is my lifeblood at this point, okay? I'm like an eagle in the nest, okay? This store is my mother regurgitating into my mouth, okay? I'm the little hydro eagle, the little fucked up little degen eagle, okay? And my mother keeps taking fucking hydros and yakking them back into my mouth in the parking lot, okay? That was me. So I go back to my car, and I remember I went to sleep pretty quick after this. First night wasn't super eventful. The following morning is where things get interesting because I woke up and it was one of those, like, if you guys ever woke up terrified, like you wake up and you just completely forgot where you were, that was me. I woke up and I just did not remember that I went to Jewel. I did not remember that I slept in my car. And I'm in like a fishbowl, mind you. I don't have any tinted windows. I'm not sleeping under a blanket. Like, I literally got back in my car and I got in the fucking back seat. I climbed all the way in the back seat and I just woke up early as fuck in the morning. And I remember waking up scared as shit. Like, how the fuck, like, did I get kidnapped here? Like, is someone inside the store right now? Like, driving my car around while I'm sleeping in the back? Like, where the fuck am I? Took me a minute to get to. I woke up, immediately realized I was out of hydros, immediately comprehended my situation. Mind you, my dad hadn't even reached out to me. Okay, this guy hadn't even texted me. He had no clue I had left, or maybe he did and just didn't care. That was probably the more likely answer. But I was like, all right, boys, it's time to go into this store. All I have left is weed. This was not the kind of day where I was just going to be sober. I was just going to sit there and be stoned. Like, no, we're getting fucked up on this kind of day. I was, honestly expecting to get sent to either juvie or rehab any day at this point. So I was just getting blackout every single day. So I walked back into the store. It was probably, dude, it was no later than like 8 a.m. Fucking, it was so early. Like, it was that kind of brightness in the sky where, like, you can't even see the sun yet. It's just the blue sky, and it's still cold and wet outside, and the birds are chirping. It was that. I remember that vibe was hitting. That Midwest morning vibe is just unbeatable, man. But I fucking walked into the store, and I just knew deep down I was getting my vibe multiplied in a moment here, because I walked straight into the alcohol section, and I grabbed myself a fucking bottle. And if I remember correctly, it was a bottle of Jack Daniels, which this was like my fuck it, I don't care anymore alcohol. Like, this was my, like, I'm gonna pee myself on camera, on the security camera out front, and get the cops called on me and throw the bottle at them and get tased. That was kind of where I was at. So I grabbed the Jack, once again, walked the fuck out. I cannot stress enough how different stealing is nowadays. It's not the same anymore. When I was in high school, granted, this Jewel was also in a nice area. Like, this wasn't I wasn't sleeping in the trenches, okay? This was like a pretty nice, like, suburban Jewel store that I was at. So, like, it was just so free. It's different now. I've been back to this store as an adult, like within the past couple of years when I went to visit my mom in my hometown. I went back to this exact store. Dude, it's nuts. They've like 10x'd the amount of cameras in there. The fucking alarms at the door actually work now. They have employees standing at the door checking. Like, dude, it's just... times have changed, okay? I went into Walmart and stole a fucking DS one time. They had no alarm on it. The lady opened the glass and just handed that bitch to me. Said, meet me at the front. I did not meet her at the front. You can't do that anymore. Times are different, dude. Fuck, I'm pissed about it. Sorry, I'm rambling. Back on topic. So, I walk back in, I grab my bottle of Jack, and I walk the fuck back out. And this is where things really get fun, okay? I go right back to my car, and I remember... I sit back in the whip and I crack the Jack, and all I had was Gatorade. So I grab my Gatorade and I'm chasing the Jack with fucking warm Gatorade that had been in my car for like 6+ hours at this point. And I'm getting wasted. Maybe an hour passes, hour and a half. I'd say it's probably 9:30 or 10 in the morning. I'm fucking gone. I was so fucked up. Things get a little blurry here, but I do remember a couple facts about the day. First and foremost, is I vividly remember going over to the garbage pile across the street and throwing up in it. You see, across from this Jewel, there's this giant, it's not a landfill. It was this like vacant field that always had a for sale sign up. Ever since I was a little kid, before any of you guys ever heard any of my silly little stories, there was this little field in this exact spot across from Jewel with a big for sale sign. And over the years, it slowly became a garbage mound. Like, people just started dumping stuff there and no one ever cleaned it. So that was my yak mound, When I got sick, I remember going over to the fucking garbage mound, and I was on my hands and knees projectile vomiting like blue Jack Daniels Gatorade mixture into this pile of just seeping goop garbage on the ground, okay? And I remember throwing that shit up, and I got filthy because I'm on my hands and knees. I got up, and I remember I was covered in like mud, like disgusting shit. Probably a bit of animal shit. I don't know, but I was filthy, and I was so drunk that like I just didn't even comprehend that I was getting myself dirty when I was throwing up. I was just only focused on throwing up. So finally, I got back up, and I was like, fuck, dude. I went over to my car, I sat in the whip, kind of just was breathing, and I was like, damn, I'm down bad. Like, I need to go to someone's house. I need to use the shower. Like, I haven't showered since yesterday. Like, this is fucked. I hit up everybody, and lo and behold, Michael the Goat bro's up at fucking 9 a.m. and this guy's tripping. This guy's like, yeah, come over, dude. No problem. I'm like, why didn't you answer me last night? He's like, oh, my bad, dude. I was tripping balls. Motherfucker was up all night. He just never answered me. So I go over to Michael's house. Now, if I'm going to be honest, okay, I'm going to say up front here, I'm not going to lie to you guys about what I did here. I'm just going to preface it by saying, you shouldn't ever fucking do this, okay? This is a stupid thing that I did when I was younger, and I learned my lesson from this. But I drove drunk as fuck over to Michael's house, which luckily was only about 3 blocks away. It was very close to the Jewel. We used to walk to this exact store and grab fucking snacks and liquor and whatever the hell from Michael's house almost every time we were there. So Fortunately, I didn't have to go far at all, but I remember I drove over to Michael's house. I parked in the little lot across the street from his shit. I went into his crib, and I mean, I said I remember. I don't really remember parking there, but that's just how it went every time. So we're just filling in the blanks with this story. But either way, I go over to Michael's house, and I remember I go upstairs. I'm filthy as fuck. This guy just takes one look at me. He's like, "Yo, you fucking pig, dude." I remember he called me a pig, dude. He's like, "You got to clean up, dude. You fucking disgusting pig." I was like, "Yep, I got you, bro. Please let me use your bathroom. Like, you can roll a blunt on my mid while I'm in that bitch." I threw him like the 2 grams of garbage that I had left. Went straight to his bathroom, freshened up. Thank God I had brought my toothbrush and my new set of clothes. I thought I had a little bit. I wasn't completely fucked here. Okay, I brought the basics. I popped out, and mind you, I'd barely slept. I was off hydros the night before, woke up, immediately got so drunk I threw up in a fucking garbage mound, and then drunk drove over to my homie's house who's been up tripping on acid all night, and I'm now washing the garbage juice off myself in his bathroom. All because my parents want to send me to the wilderness rehab before I go on felony probation. Dude, my life was fucked at this point. So either way, I freshened myself up while I was at Michael's. And then after I had freshened myself up, I remember we were chilling out. And I don't quite remember. I think we had smoked the blunt. We inevitably had probably smoked the blunt. That's just how it always went. The moment I walked in the door, I'm handing him my weed, and he's rolling a fucking blunt because he's better than rolling at me most of the time. I'm not going to lie. Dutches and Swishers were my thing. But like when we were smoking joints or like games in particular, for some reason game leaves were a little too like, the texture of them didn't work with my fingers. Michael was the game guy for sure. But we're chatting a little bit, and I remember asking him about his trip. I'm like, "So what have you been doing all night? Like, how's your trip been?" He's like, "Dude, me and my fucking girl, we like broke up last night." This guy would have like 18 fucking girlfriends in a year. Girlfriend's a loose term. It's like a girl who like sucked his dick for a 10 strip. He'd be like, "Yeah, it's my girlfriend for the night." Dude, brother would have like a one introspective shroom trip with her and just fall in love. He'd be like, "That's her. That's queen right there, dude. That's the one and only." And then when she left for the morning, he'd be like, "Yeah, she broke up with me. She's supposed to live here." He was the kind of dude who like, he'd have a girl over off Tinder, except she wouldn't leave for a week and a half. And that would be the entire extent of their relationship. So Michael's fucking tripping the pain away, which was something that I don't think I've ever seen anyone else do as a coping mechanism before. And I wasn't really trying to take any. He offered me some, but I was like, "Dude, the vibes aren't there today. Like, they're really not fucking there today. I would prefer something else." And he's like, "Don't worry about it, bro. I got some fire fucking Zans, dude. They're real script." And listen, back in these days, people weren't accepting of the fact that pretty much all of the Zans that didn't come directly from the pharmacy were pressed. Nowadays, everyone is accepting of pressies. Everyone understands that when you buy a Zan, it's more than likely a press. Back in these days, everyone lied about it. Everyone gaslit each other. Everyone was like, "No, dude, this is a real deal script." Everybody. You would go meet like random people at parties from completely different social circles, and they would do the same thing. They'd pull out a bar at a party. You look at it, that motherfucker is pressed. They're like, "Nope, it's script. Came straight from Walgreens, dude. My plug has a script. He gets them every month. He gets 9,000 every month, dude. Trust me." Fucking these, Michael once again tells me like, "Yo, these are legit." And my dumbass believed him, dude. I didn't ask any questions. I just, fuck it, give them to me. I didn't have any money, but we must work out some sort of deal because the Xanax ended up in my hand one way or the other, and it ended up in my gullet immediately after. Now, this is where things get a little more blurry because I'm just going to be upfront, guys. We're 28 minutes in, and I'm not very close to finishing. So this is going to be a long video because I effectively went homeless and then just blacked out for the entire duration of the homeless arc until I ended up back home. So it was a real, go out with a bang before probation type of, scenario. But so I had taken the Zans and I put them down the hatch, and things got a little blurry here because, mind you, I was still drunk. Like, I had not sobered up. I'd sobered up a bit, but like I was not sober by any means. And for those of you guys who have never done it, maybe you're not aware, Xanax really enhances the effects of alcohol. You can take 2 shots of whiskey and then pop a Xan, and that 2 shots of whiskey is starting to feel like 8 pretty quickly. So, I'm already mildly drunk but still functional. The moment I pop these couple Xans down the hatch, I black the fuck out. I can't really tell you guys what I did on this day, which I'll admit, as I get older, it's starting to become a little more common. I'm starting to lose some of the exact specifics of some of the older, scenarios and incidents that I'd like to talk about. But this day in particular, no, I really actually blacked the fuck out. And the only thing I remember specifically up until I'd woken up from my little nap at Michael's later was I remember doing probably the grossest thing I've ever done to someone's property. And that is I threw up through Michael's screen window in his second story bedroom. And mind you, there's a complete stranger that lives down on the first floor below that I puked all over. I remember this, I don't know, those like traumatizing moments, it doesn't matter how fucked up you are. Your brain locks in and processes that shit. Like you could be blackout drunk, but that one thing will happen when you're blackout drunk and you remember it perfectly. That's me with this. So I remember I was sitting on the couch. The way Michael's room was laid out was there was these like two couches in there, and one of them was back up against the window, which was the back wall of his room. And I remember I was sitting on that couch. I don't know what the fuck Michael was doing, but I got nauseous, and I just was not, for whatever reason, I was not able to make it to the bathroom. I didn't even try to. So I turned around. I was trying so frantically to get the fucking screen off the window. Like I was trying to open it like a window. I was like, bro, something's got to give here. And eventually I remember I just put my head up to the fucking screen and I just sent a fucking jet propulsed stream of absolute Jack Daniels Gatorade slop down the side paneling of Michael's second story townhouse. And let me tell you, he found it hilarious. I remember he loved it, dude. Not one time was he pissed. I was so sorry about it. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, you got it out the window for the most part. That's pretty good. But I had to clean my vomit out of the screen because, I mean, without getting too graphic here, there were some portions that did not make it through the screen. It was kind of like puking through a coffee filter. It's not going to be pretty. So, after I finished cleaning up my freshly strained vomit, I blacked the fuck out, crashed out for however long, until I remember I woke up again at Michael's house later, and there's hella fucking people over this time. I'm talking, we got Bill in this bitch. I remember we had Paul in this bitch. I remember we had some of the Ashleys over in this bitch. It was alive and well, and I was just crashing on the couch out in the living room the entire fucking time. I couldn't tell you where Michael's parents were. Michael lived with his mom and his little sister. I don't know where they were. Must have been in fucking Narnia at this point. They always left Michael at the crib to just kind of take acid and puke through the window screen. So that's exactly what I was doing. So I woke up, that evening, whatever fucking time it was. I was so disoriented at this point. I remember checking my phone. Still nothing from my dad. My dad did not hit me up at all. And it was a kind of Cold War situation where like, I was not going to hit him. It was an ego thing for me. Like I was not going to hit him up and ask to come home. It was ball was in his court. Like he had to reach out to me or else I was not budging. So I saw that and I was like, well, fuck it. I realized, at that point also that I was going to have to go to my mom's house at some point. Like my dad, there was no way. I would rather die on the fucking pavement than go back to my dad's house. Okay. But mom, well, we might have to make a phone call tomorrow morning. So I remember I woke up. I joined the rest of the group. I had been sleeping. Once again, everyone's fucking tripping. Michael is still tripping. I don't know if he napped when I had blacked out or what, but this guy genuinely, I think, has taken more acid than any other person I've ever met in my life. And honestly, I think more acid than probably 99% of the people watching this video. This guy fried his brain like a fucking sunny side up egg. No, he completely went off the radar, fried his shit. Any of you guys who have real like tripping homies, like real psychedelic daily trip kind of homies, you know that shit doesn't last forever. It never does. Everyone has to slow down and take breaks eventually, or else they will fry their shit like an omelet. That's exactly what happened to Michael, I'm pretty sure. But at this point, we were still peak rampage. We were going crazy as fuck. So he passed me a couple tabs. I remember I got back in the room, I'm chilling with everybody else. We're chilling in his bedroom. And he passed me a couple tabs on this evening, and I pocketed one and I popped the other one. Now, just for, to establish the timeline here, for those of you guys who are losing track, I get kicked out of my dad's house, or not kicked out. I leave my dad's house with hydros and weed. I pop the hydros, and I smoke the weed across the first couple days, and then wake up in my car the following day and go to Jewel and steal all the Jack Daniels, and then slam the Jack, bring it over to Michael's house and share it with him while he's tripping. We're getting fucking lit. Then I black out and throw up through the screen of his window after taking Xanax, and then fall asleep on his fucking couch, and then I wake up and go into his bedroom and then drop acid. And this is within like a 48-hour period-ish, mind you. So this was really, we were just absolutely all steam ahead at this stage of my life. Nowadays, if you did, I don't think I could do this now. Like, I genuinely don't. I don't think my body could handle this kind of shit. But back then, it was just all gas, no brakes. Like, it was legitimately just go, 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 get fucked up. So I dropped my fucking tab of acid. I'm like, all right, one tab down the hatch, one tab in the pocket. Dude, we're sending it right now. And I honestly, I don't remember a ton of stuff about the come up or like the normal details I give you guys about the trip, but I do specifically remember having a lot of anxiety on this trip, which was not very usual. It wasn't a bad trip by any means. Had I been alone, I think it would have ended up being a bad trip, but it wasn't a bad trip on its own. Like, I was still around friends and having fun, but I remember almost every single time I wasn't talking during the trip, I was in the back of my head like, oh my God, I'm so fucked. Oh my God, I'm so fucked. Oh my God, I'm so fucked. Like, it must be like what a person with a felony warrant who's on the run feels like. Like, the last guy who escaped from the New Orleans jail, that's what that dude has to be thinking every waking moment right now. Like, that's me at this point in my life, because I'm just, dude, I'm not allowed to go back to my dad's house. My dad's trying to send me to a wilderness facility. The court's trying to send me to juvie. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do drugs anymore because I'm about to get drug tested. I'm not ready to get sober. My mom doesn't want me at her house either. This was like one of the worst, most stressful periods of my life, 100%. And it was all my own doing. Like, none of this was like, oh man, this is just, I got dealt some shitty cards. It's like, no, I really just, this was the consequences of me not giving a flying fuck about anything ever. Like, the shit was really about to hit the fan. And you know what was interesting? It didn't. I thought shit was about to hit the fan. Everything was about to change. It really actually didn't. It wasn't up until I got my DUI that shit actually hit the fan. So I was tweaking out. I was getting in my head, and I kept getting in these like thought loops almost where I would zone out, and my homies were noticing it. I remember fucking Bill coming up to me, and he's like, yo, like, what's up with you, dude? Like, you seem all wonky, you know? And he was kind of fucking with me, be like, yo, like, quit tweaking, Nick, you know? I could tell, like, he was joking around, but also like he was definitely kind of checking on me a little bit, and he was right. I was fucking out of it, but I didn't want to talk about it. I was just like, oh, dude, I'm tripping balls, you know, like, oh man, I'm just tripping so hard, like I'm just feeling so good. In reality, pretty much every single time I wasn't talking to someone or like, hitting the blunt that was being passed around or like shooting the shit or like taking a sip of beer, like whatever fucking liquor we were drinking, I was just sitting there like, man, I am fucked. Like, I genuinely believed that this was the last straw. I believed that the moment that I went home from this incident, it was just over with for me. I was going directly to a rehab facility or juvie, one or the other. I had no clue what was going to happen to me. Now, this tab of acid was pretty underwhelming. I'm sure you guys are wondering, what was the trip part like? Well, I only took one tab and I pocketed the other to try to make it stretch because I didn't know how long I was going to be fucking pseudo homeless, and on top of that, this was also peak psychedelic use for me. So my tolerance was pretty high. So this, honestly, taking the tab was probably the worst decision I could have made. I should have just drank more, which I still did. I did drink more that night, but like, dude, I should have just kept the tab down. It wouldn't have fucked up my brain, but I spent the whole night just tripping and tripping and tripping. And I remember, as the hours went by, everyone kind of left, and it was just me and Michael once again. I didn't even ask to crash there. It was just like implied that I was going to crash there. He was the homie about that kind of stuff. It was great. But I remember I talked to him a little bit about it. I was like, yeah, bro, like, I'm really fucked right now. Like, I can't go back to my dad's house. I can't go back to my mom's house. Like, this court case is kind of not looking super good. And, the judge is supposedly an asshole, according to my attorney, that, like, my parents got me, and like I barely even know this attorney guy. Like, I don't know how any of this works. And on top of that, I'm just cooked. I'm gonna get drug tested for probation and go to rehab. And on top of all of that, I was like a month away from dropping out of high school. I hadn't dropped out yet, but I was like very, very close to dropping out of high school. So shit was about to get even fucking worse for me. Which, by the way, I'm going to give you guys a pro tip right now. All you little delinquents listening, skipping college is a valid decision for a lot of people. Dropping out of high school is stupid because you need a GED anyways. If there's one thing in my younger life that I could go back and change, it's dropping out of high school. I would definitely at least go finish high school, like 100%. I would have just gone back and finished it because I ended up just getting my GED anyways. And like, yeah, it doesn't matter that much, but you kind of miss out on like high school is not that bad. Like in retrospect, it's fun if you're not grinding. Like if you're not a high elo high school player, if you're not like really like the top 1%, if you're just in that bitch off the Zans, it's pretty fun. And that's where I was at with it. So I regretted dropping out. But, this was just peak stress. And I remember me and Michael had stayed up and we had talked about it that night. We had a pretty long talk. And, he was telling me, he's like, yeah, dude, my mom wants to kick me out of here too. She's going to send me to my dad's house. But like, my dad's house isn't really like a good place to live, which I've been to his dad's house a few times. And yeah, I mean, it's a house, all right. But I remember I talked to Michael, and one of the things he told me is he's like, dude, you should talk to your parents. Like, you should just talk to them more. And this was like, I never really had deep personal talks with my homies. I never talked about my personal situations with my homies. So this was like, I really took his advice very seriously here because this was new for me. I never brought up my personal issues with my friends. So I was like, damn, I'm going to really take his advice here. I remember I called up my mom the following morning. We went to sleep. I crashed on his couch once again. I woke up the following day, smoked a fucking blunt with him, wake and bake that shit, got high. I was like, all right, dude, I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to see what happens. He was like, hey, I wish you luck, bro. I remember I stepped out into his garage and I rang my mom up and she answered the phone and she had that kind of, she always had this voice where she was like, she was mad at me, but deep down, like, you could tell she was glad to hear from me, but, like, she was not going to let me know that whatsoever. I was never going to hear, like, oh, thanks for calling. No, she's like, hello, like in that exact fucking tone and pitch and delivery. And I just laid it out. I was like, listen, Mom, like, I don't want to, like, I can't go to rehab. Like, please, like, can you just talk to Dad or something? Like, let's at least deal with this court case first. I was trying anything to delay it. So I was gaslighting the fuck out of my mom. I was like, Mom, like, I'll deal with this court case first, and then I swear I'll check myself into rehab. Like, I'll work with you guys on it. You guys won't have to force me. Like, just please, like, let's deal with this court case first. Like, going to rehab before court's gonna mess it all up. I didn't give a fuck deep down, but my mom, she kind of, I remember she paused. This was one of the most tense convos with my mom because this was just peak tension in our relationship. Like, I wouldn't say she hated me at this point, but I was not allowed in her house. So I remember she kind of sighed. She was like, she's like, where are you? I told her I'd been crashing at my friend's house. She's like, which friend? I would never tell her that. I don't know why. Like, what was she going to do with that information? Like, Michael. Oh, Michael. She didn't know who the fuck Michael was. Like, she doesn't, what is she going to do with that info? She's never met that guy, I never had my friends over to my houses. My parents never knew my friends, okay? Never. I always only had them over when my parents were not home. My parents were not the kind of ones who wanted to meet my friends, okay? They would have absolutely been assholes to them because my friends were delinquents. But either way, my mom kind of sighed, she huffed and puffed at me and she was like, let me call your father. That's always how she worded it, dude. She calls my dad. My dad, of course, would not call me himself. He was never the kind of person who would have a one-on-one talk with you. But my mom calls me back and she's like, you can go back to your father's house. He's not going to send you to rehab. Like, you can go home. And I remember I felt like a kid who was sitting on Santa's lap and you ask him for the toy and he's like, you're going to see that under the tree this year. I was like, really? You promise? Like, you really mean that? I can go back. She was like, yes, like, just don't fuck up. Don't get arrested again before your court case. I think, honestly, that is what she was more scared of. I think that is why my dad also folded and let me come back home, because I think the bigger concern was me getting arrested again before my sentencing, which would have blown everything up. That would have absolutely fried the whole scenario. So
I remember, I'd hang up the phone. I went back up to Michael's. I kicked it there for most of the rest of the day. Didn't drop any more acid or pop any more Xans or anything. We were just kind of smoking some weed. He was smoking me out at this point. I had long run out. Of the smoke I had brought out of the crib, but he was smoking me out at this point. And I was finally, I gained the courage to go home. And I was like, all right, man, I'm going to go home. And, going home to my angry dad was not the same as going home to my angry mom. Going home to my angry mom was downright terrifying because that woman will confront your bitch ass, bro. She's not holding back. My dad is a bit of a schemer. Like, he's very passive aggressive. So, like, when my dad's mad at me, he will never, he's not the kind of dad who's going to be sitting on the couch waiting for me with the lights dimmed. Like, why don't you have a seat right over there? My mom's done that to me more times than I can count on my fingers and toes. 100%. I've had that exact scenario. But my dad, like I mentioned earlier, I'll just wake up and all the tires got removed from my car, and my bedroom door is barricaded shut, and there's a note slid through the crack that says you're grounded for 30 days. You can't leave the room. Food will be airdropped through the window by a Walmart drone. That's where my parents were at. So going home to dad was whatever, dude. I went the fuck home, and lo and behold, he didn't even come out of his room. I came home, dude. I remember I went right back up to my shit. It was business as usual. And this was maybe a month or two. This is a month before I dropped out of high school, and 2 to 3 months before my whole court case blew up and I got sent to rehab because I overdosed on fake acid, which I'm not going to dive into because this is a long ass video already. But what I will say is, if you're new to this channel, I highly encourage you to go watch my rehab series from 8 years ago and get some context to what I talked about today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. This wasn't really even one coherent story. It was kind of just talking about a period of my brief homelessness, which I had many of these, but this was just a fun one because I was effectively drug spamming for 48 hours. But I don't know, man. If you guys want to hear more of these kind of weird loose form stories that are less about one specific thing and more just about whatever the fuck, let me know in the comments, dude, because I got plenty of these that I never thought worth uploading, but here I am today. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Deuces.